Oh my god. Let me try something. Okay. Internet is very annoying. I'm gonna keep this window up here that tells me about dropped frames just in case. Just put it right in front of my face here. Okay. Maybe it should still be down. No one should be able to see that. Okay. I'm trying to think of if there's any place in this map I haven't checked yet. And I don't know. I don't think there is. Unless it's just somewhere very cruel. Maybe it's in a doghouse. I can't go in the doghouse. Keep grabbing the ones I know about, and then maybe I'll just stumble across. Oh my god! I thought that was the dog that was caused, not the one. Okay. Not underneath here. Really? I thought they always go in the same speed. Apparently they don't. Okay. Well. Wrong level? Back. Okay. Whoa, okay. Let's see, there's nothing over here. Nothing over here. There are 2 lives. Let me grab them. Green is there. Orange is there. Got green. A weird camera angle. Why are you seeing? Why am I seeing that? This a little odd, but okay, let's grab the 2. The problem is that I found 2 at the bottom, and 2 at the top now. So I can't say for sure where the next one is more likely to be. Oh, there's a balloon here. Okay, okay, so it's probably over here. I didn't see that last time. Okay, let's grab purple. And then let's head over there. Woo! Okay, let's do this. Oh man, got me. Okay. Wow, got that. Okay. Throwing all the way at the end here. Here, and pelican, and another balloon, which will take me to, yeah, all right. Okay, that one a little bit hidden near the end. More mania. Okay, I get it. One and 1, 2. This one looks safe. Whoa. Oh, jeez. Kind of mean. Ah. Jesus. Okay. That's a little violent, my guy. Okay. These guys hate Frogger. Okay. Well. That's not a splat. That's... I'm being deconstructed. Up here? I see green. Is it safe? No. Okay, well, there's a life there. I'll grab that life next time. Ooh, my god. Yeah. All right. Let's try that again. do that. Okay. Is there any path there? No, there's not. Okay. Good to know. So then there's a life there. That's useful. It's just the 2 lawnmowers in a circle there. I'm safe here. That one's super quick. Okay. Alright, that's the first one. I think there was a second path up here. Let's try it. Yeah, I think I can follow the lawnmowers here. Okay. Now, what have I got? Okay. Just up here, what we got? A little back and forth. I see a bug there. Let's ignore that. What's up here? This is a big level. Okay. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Well, we got one. Okay, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Nope, okay, yeah, I got caught there. Jeez. That is a crazy death animation. I respect it. Okay, there's nothing to my left there, by the looks of it. Let's go slowly. See, that one dukes around. What's... Okay, so I'm safe here. I wasn't safe one tile up, though, as it turns out. Why'd I go here? Okay. So here's safe. I can go up here to the left. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. What's that? Okay. Is this safe? Okay. This is not safe. Oh my goodness. What is this map? Ooh. Okay. Nope, one here. And there's one there too. Okay. Nope. Oh. It duked me. It got me. One, two. Let's keep go as fast as possible. Okay. Whoa, jeez. Don't know why I'm going for points. Don't need points just yet. Okay. What's up here? Oh wait. I don't think I got that one last time. Let's get the two I know where they are. So there's two over here. At least. There's an extra life here. And I forgot to get that other light. But you know what? We live dangerously. Amongst all these lawnmowers. Forgot about that guy. grab green, which is to the left here. Safe? Yep. Okay. And okay. We're good. Now, 2 more. I do not know where I haven't been yet. I don't think I've been to the left here. Oh, to the left here. Yeah, I was here already. Right. Nah, okay. They go to the left. They go to the left for a while. Maybe that's when I can get to the other side of them there. Okay. Down here. Follow this guy. And go left. Yeah, there we go. Got the same spot. Down here. Where is he? Oh, this is here again. Okay, I've been here already. And that's where green is. Okay, well, let's grab this life since I'm here now. Was that life? It was a life. How are we meant to grab that one? That's just cruel. Okay. That's where the 2 areas meet up. Is there anything else in this direction? I actually don't think I found anything this direction yet, so... Okay. I can follow this guy, stuff like that. And then... do this. Same here? I think so. Okay. Oh my goodness, there's one more. Alright, that looks like a good place to be. I went the wrong way, didn't I? Okay. Oh, this is a confusing map. Okay, this way? This way. We don't have enough time to do this anymore, but let's see if I can. Come on. It's just here again! Cut that, man! Okay, well that was a bust. Nope. Okay. Oof. This one's a bit of a maze. Okay. I want to at least try and get one more world complete, though. Try this one. There's also another world that has only like 2 maps, which might make that a little easier to do. But this level was funny. I'm cool trying out a little bit longer. If there's anything any more info I can find. Okay, no, a bit too early there. This game over theme is going to haunt me, I can tell. One, two. Okay, let's do this. Go, 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 go. Okay, where haven't I been? Been up here. And I went to the left. that was basically nothing. I forgot what was over there, so let's try that again. That was the slowest mower. Nope. Nah, I just walked into that one. Let's try again. A little too ambitious. Let's go. Alright. This past in there. This one goes in a circle. Alright, we have one more frog found. Okay. Good start on this one. So now I know where 4 frogs are? I say super confidently. That was almost very cool. That was just that was nowhere near cool. Okay. Whoa! What is to the left of that area? Ah, dang it. It might just be somewhere I've already been, but I have one more frog to find. Whoa! Okay, I should not have survived that, but whatever. Yeah, this is where I've already been. What's the point of that life? There's nothing else here. Okay, no point going there again. I've actually forgotten who the other one is. I found purple at some point. I think it was over there. Okay. Let's... Oh my goodness. Can I just... Ribbit. I ain't playing around anymore. Let's try that again. Lines. That's what purple is, yeah. Whoa! Orange is the top right. Green is in the bottom left. And red is somewhere. I haven't seen red anywhere. That area where... This area here seems suspicious. What's the deal with this area? That's the deal with this area. It's where red is. Okay. I just didn't see the turn off at the very in the middle of it. Fantastic. Now let's go beat the level. Okay. And green. So there is the golden frog, but I do not know what level they're in. They seem to just be in a random level in the world, just one of them. So. Oop. I hope it's not in this level. Okay. Look at that. Didn't die once. Ooh, it's nighttime. Imagine. Okay. Alright, well, I guess I'll wait for the bird. There you are. Where are you taking me? Okay. Now what? Second bird, okay. Super tongue, huh? Sweet. Well, we got red out of the way. And I immediately died. As one does. I don't keep my super tongue. Kind of weird to get it near the end of that section, but whatever. I'm not going to complain too much. Anything else? I don't know, we're turning around. Turning around again. Okay, so there was a small gap there. I could jump on our log. Here. And I see some lily pads. Oh, that turn around, which are fantastic. Okay, now what? Oh my god. I am so confused. Where am I? This is the log at the very start of the game. Level 1. Oh my god. Oh my god, okay. Oh, this is a confusing one. no idea where I am. There's these logs. Oh, it is the same map as the opening area, by the looks of it. I remembered this section. It's the golden frog. So now I don't have to worry about that. I believe each world has one golden frog. We're fine. Okay. They're just on the outside by the looks of it. Okay, so I can go inside here. There's another pelican. That's not... okay. Different area. Alright, let's try and get back there. Okay, so how did I get there? It was not in the water. I'll tell you that for free. Oof, yeah, that's messy with you. Okay, I believe this is a way to go. These do not line up in any way. Okay, this one might. Yes, okay. And a swan. I'm here. Alright, now we're in this area. Last time there were like 3 or 4 frogs in this one area alone, so ugh. I just need to head there. See how many more frogs I find. Nope, that won't reach. Okay, this one. Please, please, please. Yeah, okay. Just barely. Ah. Okay, just need to wait for these to line up again. Like that. Next one. Okay. Okay. Okay, there. I found one frog to the left. Let's try the left again. Nope, nothing there. They boarded that area up. Got it. Okay. I'm very thankful for quick jump there. Let's try again to the right, because I think there was a third one there. Not that that means there will be another one here, but, you know. I'm gonna take my chances here. Oh, man. Line up. I'm on a time limit, man. Thank you. Okay. No, but there's an extra life at least. And there's one up there, which means the other... Okay. It's not a pelican, is it? Is that a pelican? Or is it a seagull? I think it's more of a seagull. Pelicans just have a bigger mouth. Okay. Let's head over here. Oof! I forgot about the lawnmowers. Okay. which direction do you go? Wait, really? I think it's down. It's down, isn't it? Okay. I'll thank you for the follow. I'm just here being bad at Frogger. And once I beat this game, I'll be bad at something else. Hey, we got 4 golden frogs so far. That's nice. And thankfully, the golden frog stays, even though I don't. Oh my god, I hate these lilies. Okay, there we go. Man. I'll get the hang of it one day. Do we know where 4 are? I've forgotten where that, like, double seagull took me. Or even where it started, rather. There's one here. I think I go down here? Yes, okay, I go down there. That takes me to this guy. And there are two frogs over in this direction. Let me grab at least one of them. It's in here. Only have 1 life, so it's not going to be... I doubt I'll get through all of it here, but hey, you never know. I won't get through most of it. What was here? This was... Oh. Did I crash the game? Well then. Well, that's fun. Let's reboot. Did I not save? Oh no, wait a minute. I don't think it saves automatically. Oh no. Can I not pause? Oh no! Ah, my progress. Okay, well, let's reset game. Let's see what happens. Oh no. Oh man. Oh. Okay, well, okay. If it doesn't save, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't because this is a PS1 game, I'll just move on to a different world. I'll do those again later. Oh man. Yes, please load Frogger data. I would love for you to load Frogger data. No. Okay, well. At least I know where the frogs are. That was what? I only beat 2 levels. So, you know what? That's fine. Let's move on to a different world. Let's do this one. Oh, man. Ah, well. It happens. Okay. I did try this level a little bit last stream, so I think I remember where like 1 or 2 frogs are. So with that knowledge, let's try and grab them. So there's one there. I use the owl to get through here. There's an extra life in this area as well. Somewhere. There it is. Then I use this. Grab this one. There's a... Oh, I didn't spin the camera again. Okay, well... Let's... go back here. There's another frog. This direction. Oh, okay. I jumped the wrong direction. That's fine. Taking the scenic route. There we go. Okay. Okay. Woo, barely made it there. And this way? Okay. That's all the only ones I know how to get right now. So, does this owl just take me all the way around the starting area? Or does it go somewhere else secret? I think it's just going all the way around. And I think the only forward places are that one and this one. Looks like it. Okay. So, I already found 2 frogs this direction. So let's try this direction again. Well, I have 9 seconds, so I'm not going to try for very long. Nice, didn't see that one up there last time. Ooh, what's this? Oh, what's that thing to the left there? It's in the camera. Okay. Let's try again. I saw a stump to the left there. Maybe that's something. So I have learned now that after I beat each level, I should save. It doesn't look like there's anything there, but why is that bird circling the area? Is it just to mess with me? What? I need to keep looking. I have to investigate. Ooh! Out of bounds. Let's do that again. That was fun. Interesting. I have no idea what happened there. Pause because I keep forgetting the timer. That wasn't the life, whatever. So there isn't anything there. Okay. Okay, there's nothing there. It's just there to mind games, I guess. Whoa. Okay. Oh, that was bad. Try again. That's life. Don't immediately waste it. Oh, wait. Did I land there? Let's try landing there. I was curious how to get there. If it's just fall, then maybe there's something else in that area. I think I didn't die from the fall, I died from the enemy right next to me as I fell. There's only one way to find out. Yeah, okay. Whoa. Okay, so a little hedgehog. Oh, there's red. Nice, okay, so that's 4 I know about now. Dang it. So red, orange, and blue are over here, and I think I only know of one in this direction, right? I believe that's the key. Ah. That's also where I found the golden rug. There's probably another one in that direction, so let's try that again. So we're heading here. We can find one more here, then I will have all the frogs. At least where they are. Oh, okay. Dang it. I can't go down in that area. That's where I found the golden frog, but imagine there's something else there too. Oh man. I'm getting too antsy. I'm trying to go as fast as possible and make a mistake. Oof, okay, well, let's just call this one a wash. Okay. I always forget about that, right? There must be something there, right? Why would they put all those obstacles there if there was nothing to find? Just because... Is it because they hate me specifically? It's a valid reason to do something. This just looks like I'm not meant to be here. Yeah, that's... Yeah, it doesn't look right. Doesn't look right to me. So what else is there? Surely there wouldn't be more things over here, right? I just can't imagine why one path would only have one rock. Well, Okay, well, I was too far away from that one. Let's try this level one more time. Well, the problem is, because I have 4 frogs, I just need to find one more. That's how you come up to 5. So, it's like, I should just keep going till I find it, right? Where else in this level could it be? Am I just walking past it doing this area? What's down here? That doesn't look right. Why are you at an angle, man? Yeah, okay. Let's grab the other... let's not die. First off. It's my new objective. And grab the other ones I know about. Because if I stumble on the last one, then I win. That's how math works. Red's over there. It feels like red is always going to be the hardest one. Unless they're evil and they put the other one there. Let's see if they're evil. It's possible. Oh man. I see that there. Okay. Okay. These guys just seem to go back and forth there. Okay, there's nothing else here. There's nothing on the ground there either. This is more to the ground area that I can go from here. Doesn't seem like it. Get out of the way. Okay. What? Oh man. I thought it was out of the way there. Oh well. Let's try one more time. Yep. Where could it be? Got duped by a hedgehog. I think I already checked down here, but... Oh, well, the life here, that's nice. Keep that in mind. It's you! Where are you? That's the one I haven't got, right? How do I get to you? Where am I? Oh, I'm in this area now. Okay. Well, I know vaguely where it is now. That's nice. That's a nice change of pace. How I get there is... Wait, isn't that one? Or no, yeah, it is that one because the other one in that area is blue. So how do I get to that? I saw a squirrel running across it, so I just need to follow the squirrels now. It was like to the right there. Right? Oop. Nope. I'm trying to like picture it in the map. It's not in the water. Yeah. Where? How do I get? Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. I know vaguely where it is. How did I miss that? Come on. Okay. I should just reset. I need to find information. Also, I just want to get. I want to feel good about myself. Is that so much to ask? There's no way else in this area. Let's go down. Down again. I have no idea if that's like the intended path. Okay, so there's clearly a connected bit of wood there to get to this guy. How do I can't. Man. Oh, hey Cinder, how you doing? You didn't miss much. The game crashed, so I lost all the progress from earlier today. So I basically did nothing, which is very fun. I'll probably, I think at this point I'll beat those levels again. I will say off stream, but I really have no time to do off stream. So we'll see what happens. I'll figure it out. That was certainly a thing that happened. Yeah, I beat like 3 levels of the other world. So that was certainly a thing. That's good. Sure. I at very least gained knowledge. Okay. I think it is that area. Okay, I'm gonna head back that way. I think what I have to do is use the stumps to stay on top of the tree stump, right? I mean, nope. Oh. I had to avoid the squirrel there. Oh, I hate this angle. Okay, there we go. That sucked. Alright, squirrel please. Squirrel please. Thank you. I think what I have to do is... I can't go down. I can't. Nope. I ruined everything. Nope. Ah, help me. Okay. Let's grab red. And the life that is near red. I already grabbed the life that's near red. Okay, well... Let's try and not get hit by hedgehogs. Alright. Now, to find out how to get to green. I saw a little path there. I don't think it's a thing. Okay, let me go back this way. I am convinced it's over here. It's like up and to the right here. Makes no sense though. I can't just fall down here, I'll die. Yep. Oh my goodness. I saw a very small path. I want to see if it can take me where I want it to go. Why did I do that? Why? Okay. I may have just been seeing things. Or am I just being some bad polygons? Okay, I saw this. That's all I saw. That wasn't anything? Oh, man. Okay. It's so close. It's so close. I know I can do it. I know I can find where this blast frog is. Whoa. Okay. I just need to focus on finding green. Or rather, finding the pathway to green. He's over there somewhere. Nothing? No path I know goes there. At all. I don't know a single path that actually goes over there. The closest one is the one to the left. Nah. How do I do that? No. Okay. That was the wrong button. No, I tried to eat that. How do I do this? Is there like a part of the level I'm missing? Let's hit. Okay. Oh. Ribbit. Put out. That. I need that. Okay. Try again. Let's head back to that area where I can see green. See if there's any information I can find. I refuse to look up anything for this game. That's not true strength. What are you connected to? I hate that the camera zooms so far in here. Can I get it to not? Doesn't really work. Well, I didn't know I could do that. Fair enough. Wait, can I? can't super jump onto here. Okay, fair enough. No, I can't super jump onto you. Oh, what are you connected to? I'm having a crisis now. How the hedgehog get? Okay. The camera goes back here. There's a squirrel on you. Seems to be connected there. I can't jump onto you. Oh wait. That's it. Okay, I think I got it. I think I know where to go. I was correct. It's a little past the light bulb. The hedgehog gets me. Yeah. I was thinking the same. Those hedgehogs are really fast. I understand Robotnik now. His hatred. I'm with him. Okay. I think we got it. I think my previous assumption that it was something to do with this area seems to be correct. It's just exactly. Hashtag Robotnik was misunderstood. He was also just playing Frogger. Okay, so it must be here. I fall down here. Can I jump onto anything here? I can. Okay. Don't panic. Let's do this. Yeah! Okay. Whew! That was too close for comfort there at the end. And now I know how to get it. So now I just need to get the rest of them. Now draw the rest of them out. That was not the button for tongue. I can't throw it away now. Okay. Orange. Let's do red last. Over here. There's a bird. Thank you. An owl. Okay. And Passy squirrels is purple. Okay. Now finally red. Up here. Avoid those blasted hedgehogs. Please wait for it. Okay. Finally. What's this? This is a cool ass song. Alright. Finally have another zone complete. That took way too long. No, lava. Okay, let's try some more. Lava Crush here. Oh, the skiing level. That was fun. Yeah, let's try the ski club. Let me quickly check something. Okay, I think. Sorry, just give me a quick second. That's why I didn't enable this in StreamerBot. Will this do the fun thing? Please. There it is. Yeah, okay. I have retro achievements on, and I like the little animation I made. Did the sound play for that? I also had a little jingle. I can't tell if it played or not. It played for me, but I'm doing some weird stuff with audio. But let's hope it plays because it's fun. Anyway, neither here nor there. Let's try the skiing level. This one lagged a lot previously, but it's fun. Oh my goodness, okay. Alright, okay. I'm trying to get the last one at the very end first. Let's try that. Okay. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Oh jeez. Okay. We're good. Let's gap, avoid light blue. Pink there, and then I think must be one more here. There it is. Okay, whew. That was pretty cool. Let's try and get them in reverse order, so it's easier for me as it goes along. I'll let you know when it appears next time. Because you didn't hear, well, it did go off just then, or like when I was talking about it. Oh my goodness, the lag is helping me immensely. Okay, that wasn't the one at the very end, but we take those. God dang. Oof, okay. We're good. Okay, orange is here, and then I think red? I'm so bad at colors. The orange is there. Oh my god, this is very difficult. Okay. Okay, that life. Oh, there's a lot of lives in here actually. I should just grab as many as I can. There is a retro achievement for... Oh, there you are. I think for having a certain number of lives, this level seems to be the one to do it in. That's the wrong direction. I pressed left, to be fair. But the game had other ideas on where I was going on that one. Dang it. I like how I hold like a direction as if I have any control over what's going on in this level. A little bit fast. Nope. Dang it. It all started so well. I think I will try and get red here because I miss it next time. Oh, well, I missed it, and then I died. So, I guess we never lived that life. Nope, okay, well. Let's try that again. Yeah, I got some decent points there. Yeah. Skip the high scores. I'm good. I don't need to know that I was once good at games. There is also a retro achievement for getting that green one very quickly, so I will try that. I guess it's kind of just luck if I just don't, well, if I don't do that. I guess is a important part of the process. I just hold up and just do like very minimal reactions. I'm going pretty slow here, but I always forget where the enemy is. There it is. Okay, then I have to go up this. And then, ooh, come on. What happened there? I think this game hates me. That was ridiculous. I call foul on what just happened there. Okay, there's not any enemies for a while here, so I can swoosh. Okay, no, well, I can't go off the ground. I can swoosh past that faster than you think. The frogs are evil. I think they're all conspiring against me. It's the only logical answer. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's like a strat to just... I don't think... Just in general, I don't think... Okay. Orange, and then there's a spider here. Where this guy? Yep. And there's a bat! Oh my god. Exactly. Honestly, in general, not thinking is nice. It's a lot of burden, honestly. Alright. Managed to sneak one of those one-ups. This is the part I don't really know what enemies there are. I also haven't been eating any those bugs. Like that little res cat with drool. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to be. Unfortunately, I do think sometimes. It really drags everything down. I wish I could be more brain off. Whoa, ah, dang it. Okay, that... Why did I go off the side? I was clearly going up the ramp. I'm telling you, this game hates me. Thinks therefore I am. Yeah, true. I wish I didn't think, and I wish I don't am. Whoa! And then... Spider here. Oh, I'm going way too slow now. That's fine, that's fine. We're good, we're good. Got one of the lives. Now... Hopefully, I don't run into any enemies here. Okay. Alright, we got the furthest away one. That's nice. Get some light. And now let's go for purple. good until this ramp, and then there's a spider and one bat. Get this life, okay. And then purple's to the right in one of these areas. Right here. Got a light. So then I'm going for blue. Oh man, it is getting hard to look at this level. I'd like to grab a light, please. I'd like to grab a light, please. I'd like to grab anything, please. Let's grab red. Okay. Got some lights. Let's go for... Go for light blue. Because orange is easier to get. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Oh my god, why am I not getting any lights? Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. There's like 2 enemies in this area. One's after this round. Oh, and then I fell off. Okay. Dang. Okay. We got this, we got this. I'm just... do this. I'd like to get a light, please. Okay. Okay, okay. Sliding, sliding, sliding. Slowing down. Avoiding the bat. Going up the ramp, getting blue. Okay. Now let's get orange. Ooh! Okay. Let's need to go slowly. And carefully around all these spiders that I'm definitely not scared about. Okay. And orange is here, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Jeez. Oh, good. More spiders. I love it. Oh, this is the... Ooh, fight. I really don't like spiders. This sucks. Okay, well, whatever. If I beat this level, I don't have to look at spiders again. That's how it works, right? Oh, but there's still the golden to find. Oh no, they're gonna sneak up on me. I don't like this. I really don't like this. This isn't a bit. I'm like deadly at spider spiders. I'm just worried that the whole gimmick's going to be they sneak up on me. Oh, there's one there. Oh, it's a maze. Ah, gotcha. Gotcha in time. And now I have no light. Okay. Why does this place exist? Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? What's wrong with you? Level designer for Frogger on PS1? How dare you? Okay. Oh, there are 2 bats. One down, one up. One up. So it looks like. Maybe it's all just webs and there's no spiders. That'd be nice. I don't think that's going to be the case. Because why would they show a spider on the level select? Just to torment me? That's perfect. Okay. Why would he turn right there? What, man? Okay, so I know where two are. There are two in those mazes. Let's explore more. Oh, whoa, hello. Okay, I saw a spider. There's a spider in this maze here. Hello, there's multiple. Okay. I didn't mean to sound that pathetic. Okay, it's fine. So it might be there are 5 mazes. Why there are so many bats, man? Bats are cute. I don't care, but spiders are not. This is my call out post. The spiders. Yeah, I also haven't found the golden frog in this world, so I'm sure I'll have to look at the stuff again later. But for now, let's see if I can beat this world before I end the stream tonight, which will be in 15 minutes. Because I am a responsible adult, and I feel there's probably something there. Let me try that again. Okay, this guy just goes in a circle. Yes. Okay, that's just another path to get into this area. Okay, so that's fine. You got one. There's one up there. One over there. One here. So I'm missing 2 more. This looks like a... Ooh, lava. What? That guy's going crazy. I was also hoping there would be no spiders. Sorry, I didn't see your message till now. Just keep me on my toes, but as it goes. Oh, I didn't like that. Oh god. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, spiders, I'm stealing all your stuff. Okay, we got the golden frog. When I beat this level, I never have to play this level again. I'm going to the lava. At the very least, I got the golden frog, so I don't have to think about that after all this. What's that fly do? Or whatever these are called. No dragonflies, what are they called? Oh, I forget. I keep thinking dragonfly because they remind me of Sparks from Spyro. Okay, I just need to pay more attention to what the bats are doing. That is a kind of a mean zigzag they're doing, just to mess with me. Okay. Ooh, that was a specific... Right in one. Okay. That was nice. Oh, there's more bats! Hold on, what? AI viewers streak. Let's ban you. I have no idea what that was all about. Whatever. Just because because I have like only 1 or 2 viewers doesn't mean you get to post stuff like that in the chat. That's ridiculous. Okay. I still didn't find anything when I went all the way to the back, so let's go there again. And hopefully avoid the bats and spiders. Okay, I'm just following this guy. There's a bat there, okay, spider here. Going in a circle. There's red. Okay. Is that the only thing here? Is it only red? Okay. Bad. Okay. Here? And then there was one here. This one had a bunch of spiders. Just from my own brain. Say that out loud. Okay. And then there was one to the... There's one up here. This one didn't have spiders. From what I remember, at least. Anything else here? Nope, okay. And then it's just this last area, I think, is this. I haven't been here yet. Please no spiders, please no spiders. Hey, okay. Alright, we did it. Oh, okay. Don't complain. Now we should do this. I don't think it's playing the sound effect. I need to figure out how to do that. Oh, I got 2 achievements. What was that one? Oh, I did a speed run because I hated spiders so much. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm gonna just... Because I only have like 10 minutes left, I don't think I'm going to beat any more. I'm gonna see why the sound effect's not playing. Application default. Let's see. Let me just add a test thing here. No, it'll just play the sound effect. It's not playing! That's so weird. I thought it would play here. Okay, I need to figure out why it's not playing my sound effect. I mean, that's probably something to do off stream, because I'm sure listening to me look at a different the word application is not fun. But I made so many cool sound effects for them. Oh well. That's something to figure out for next time, which will be Thursday. I'm trying to do it every Monday and Thursday. Oh, we've almost unlocked every level, every world rather. Let's see, I have 10 minutes to go. It'd be real cool if I could get this level done, and I could complete 3 full zones today alone. That'd be crazy. And then I immediately... That ain't how you do it. But this one does look insane. I'm already like, I don't think I can do this one. So let's quit out. I forgot how crazy that one is. I'll need way more than 10 minutes to look at that one. Dude, you know what? I'm just going to recomplete these levels. Because I can't... You know what? You know what? You know what? I'm going to save my video game. On second thought, I'm going to save the video game now that I have completed the spider level. Yes, overwrite old Frogger data. Okay, so now if it crashes, I'll at least have more stuff done. And I'm just going to quickly finish. I think it was, I beat like 2 levels here? I think maybe 3. I should be good. I have most of my setup stuff done. The reason why it's not playing the sound effect isn't not the fact that the sound effect is playing, because I can hear it. But what I'm doing now is I'm basically what's the word? I'm not pumping in desktop audio anymore. I'm trying to do it per application because I don't want like random Discord notifications to show up. But because of that, I don't know what application my computer thinks the sound effects are coming out of, if that makes sense. So once I figure that out, it'll play just fine. So it's entirely because I am trying to be a little extra with my stream setup. Look at this. Look at how like smooth I'm being with this. It's almost as if I've done this before. It's almost as if it took me like 35 minutes to do this. Earlier in the stream. I'm so good at video games. I just instinctively knew where all of those would be. Crazy, right? Alright, this level was fun. So let's do this one and then I'll wrap up. Now the question is, do I remember where everything was? The answer might shock you. Skill. Pure skill. We'll go to my Frogger for PS1 speedrun. I went the wrong way on this one, by the way, but whatever. I can salvage this. Okay, got that one. Oh, got it. Another achievement. 10 lives, nice. 9 lives. That was a very short-lived achievement. Okay. I remember for one more is up here. Oh yeah, and green's... I didn't get green spawn. Okay. We're good, we're good. We got this. I think this game is easy when you know where everything is. But this game feels more like a puzzle game than like a pure platformer. It's all about figuring out the level as well as actually executing. Yeah. Did I do this one? Okay, no, this is where I got to. So I actually only did 2 levels. So let's quit out. Even though I got like a lot of points there. And let's save the game. Yes, overwrite old Frogger data. And before I head out, there's one more. I saw an achievement that looked very funny. I'm gonna try it like 1 or 2 attempts. Is get one of the frogs here using only super jumps, which I think means I can't turn. Oh, he's good. He's good. Okay, let's do this. Oh, no time. Oh my... That was so close. Oh man. That sucks. That'd be so cool to get it first try. Okay, we're good. Alright, okay. That was what I wanted to do. Let's see if I get it. There it is. Okay. Alright, I think that I'm gonna call it there. That was a lot of fun. We beat 2 worlds by the looks of it. Yeah, so we beat 1, 2 worlds. We got halfway through this one, and we got a few more of the golden frogs also. So we're sitting pretty. We'll save again, just in case, because I'm me. Save Frogger data, overwrite Frogger data. All right. So that was a lot of fun. That was more progress than I thought I'd get today. So that's nice, especially after that crash. That was kind of insane. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I will see you next time, and next time will be Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific again. I'm trying to do this every Monday and Thursday, keep a schedule going. And let's see if we can get more frogs and less spiders. That's my goal in life. There's more frogs and less spiders. That's my political stance also. We should decimate the spiders, and frogs should be allowed to vote. Okay. Goodbye.